A very pleasant good afternoon as we welcome you in an hour earlier than usual to the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show here on Sports Radio 98.7 The Fox. We do have high school baseball coming up at 4 o'clock, thus are adjusting our schedule and moving the show up an hour, again, 2 to 4 today. And then we will have Bellefonte versus Juniata for the District 6 Quad A Championship in high school baseball today. That'll be a 4 o'clock game over at Mifflin County. And Todd and Nora Brown will have the coverage for you coming up here at 4 o'clock this afternoon. Also, the State College girls lacrosse team today is in PIAA state tournament action against New Oxford. That game is at the North Turf over at the State College area high school. And I'll be actually heading over to PA for that one at 5 o'clock.
Yeah,
so looking forward to
that. About town, Bob.
Lots to get into today. The Dear Booch copied us on the Yahoo Sports Story. We talked a little bit about it on our morning show here in the State College area for those tuning in on the Facebook Live stream here this afternoon. But it is interesting. We talk about the ever-changing and ever-evolving, or depending on your viewpoint, devolving world of intercollegiate athletics. And bring up the Yahoo Sports Story here in just a moment. I'll bring it up on the phone here. But a couple of things, just again, with the way everything is unfolding and the warp speed with which everything has unfolded and continues to unfold. One of the things with this story, and it's the headline of the story is DOCS documents. NCAA could face $20 billion with a B, $20 billion in damages and bankruptcy if a proposed settlement offer is not agreed upon. And Yahoo Sports obtained documents that they say show that if a settlement offer is rejected by the NCAA and the Power 5 conferences, that, again, they could be facing $20 billion in back damages and could very well be looking at bankruptcy filing. And I'm not exactly sure what that means for college sports. Like, that could be disaster, or it could be the brand new beginning of a much better opportunity. But I don't have a good enough handle on it to know like which way is more likely, or that scenario is likely to play out.
Well, it's the NCAA, so the right way will probably be the way they will not go.
Correct.
They'll probably make a completely wrong decision.
Almost guaranteed.
Completely read the room wrong, but from what I gathered of it, it's like one of those, like, okay, this is your last chance to like save some kind of salvage anything of you as the NCAA as we know it. You need to accept this deal, otherwise it's going to go away and blow up in your face. And I guess that Butch was saying the antitrust lawsuits and all that can come out of all of this. And, there's a lot of stuff in that article that was just like it's. First of all, the numbers are mind-boggling. I think what they said was that one of the things the NCAA and the power conferences are going to decide on is that paying athletes a max of $22 million. Now, was that just football?
That is one of the bigger questions.
Okay, so that wasn't answered. So I'm not an idiot. So I was like trying to find that, and I was like, I can't really. Okay, so I mean, Jeff, we talked about if each player, 85 scholarship guys get $100,000 a year. Collective agreement, that's $8.5 million. And there is still $13.5 million in that pot. That's after you've given every one of your players $100,000. Now we're getting it away from the pay for play, which was what we have said from the start is not what this was about, but it's what it's turned into. And it's stupid, and that's what's going to ruin it. I mean, the NIL is not going to ruin football or college sports as we know it. The pay-for-play will ruin college sports as we know it. Agree or disagree? I know me and you are – we're not polar opposites on this, but we definitely have different thoughts and visions on it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the NIL has been an absolute disaster. The collectives have been a disaster. I think it would be much better to just have the collective bargaining and, yes, pay the athletes from that than to have this unwieldy system where you're supposedly not paying the athletes, but obviously you are, but you can't have any control over it, and yet the NCAA will punish you if you don't have control. I mean, the system they have
See, what I say, Jeff, is
like, absurd.
From the start, it's always been like, okay, well, the universities can't be involved in these deals with players, but then how is it getting known? How is this person being known by the collective to say, hey, you're worth this much money? If you're, you know what I'm saying? It's like if James doesn't know, or James doesn't let how does the collective know who James thinks is the top athlete in this class and deserves the biggest honor? They have to be. They have to, right? You'd think, but that's not the way it's set up. To supposedly set up. Again, from the start, me and you have been 4 years now. We've been talking about this, and it's like I think they just, again, I said from the start, they just said, okay, we're allowed to keep our hand in the cookie jar. We'll accept anything you say. And I think that's what happened. And now it's going back to, the chickens are coming home to roost, right? Is that the word?
Yeah. So there's a couple of things in this Yahoo Sports article that are.
It's a very good article, but it's a lot of stuff in there. It's like, whoa.
So what the article is saying is that we're talking about $2.776 billion in back damages that would be paid to athletes. And again, it's not specified which athletes we're talking about. Football certainly part of the equation, but is that the totality of the equation, or is that just in fact part?
And does it go back to 1995?
And clearly a question that needs to be answered. But what the Yahoo Sports article says, the NCAA is responsible for paying the amount over a 10-year period. So that would be the NCAA doling out about $277 million annually. And this is what I think this is where I start getting very concerned about the future of the non-revenue sports. According to the article, about 60% of that annual payout will come from a reduction in distribution to the schools. So in other words, they're going to take $277 million that normally would be distributed to the schools and the athletic departments, and instead will be sending 60% of that $277 million. Again, will be taken. That is obviously over half of the money that is being given to the universities right now, or the athletic departments, that, according to this article, would, under this agreement, not be going to the schools, but would be paid out to the athletes. That is a huge void in the income side of the budget for these athletic departments. And we're talking about money that is used right now for facility upgrades, for scholarships, for non-revenue sports, as well as the revenue sports. And that part of the story kind of jumped out at me. They say the NCAA is responsible for closing the 40% gap through other means, such as reserves, other net incomes, and a significant reduction in operating expenses, as much as $18 million annually. Talking about the operating expenses of the NCAA. School distribution will be reduced by about 1/5 over the decade period of the settlement, or about $60 million per year. Again, directly from the Yahoo Sports article.
And how many schools is that?
The NCAA annually distributes more than $700 million to its members, mostly from ticket sales and television rights agreements of the men's basketball tournament. Power leagues are anticipating a reduction of $1 to $2 million per year in distribution, according to the document. However, the tab will be significantly larger and the timeline shorter with a loss in court. The document outlines settlement pros and cons and offers alternatives if the settlement is in fact rejected and if the NCAA loses in court, which the article says for some that is an expected outcome based on previous legal results. I think that's an assured outcome. I mean, I don't think there's any doubt that if this goes to court, they are losing. I mean, I don't see any way around
why they would even go to court.
Well, no, and that's what they're saying is we need to reach the settlement here and reach the agreement, or we're in even bigger trouble.
I believe we have $150 million operating budget as an athletic. Is that on average what we're spending, Jeffrey? Is that, or is that what we're bringing in? And football's $50 million, and we make $150 million. So $100 million to other sports, or is that I might be misplacing my numbers?
That does not.
Are we not making more money with the television rights right now?
Yes, the TV revenue is going up substantially with this latest agreement.
So I mean, I don't see how. I mean, us, Penn State, I don't see how we have an issue financially. If we all of a sudden start making $200 million as a football program, I mean, with the new power conference, we're not kicking back to the NCAA anymore. If there's a new power conference out there and there's $200 million out there, I mean, I don't think the plan is for football to just say that's our $200 million. I don't think that's what we're going to be doing. I mean, we still need to fund our other athletic programs. I don't think that should change. I don't know. That's where exactly. This is where the discrepancy is what's. I mean, what does football do? Just keep all the money for themselves? Is that what, in your mind, you're thinking?
Well, I mean,
and they give less to the Olympic sports.
Yes, for sure, less to the Olympic sports and more to the football players and football personnel.
Yeah. Personnel need no more.
Yahoo Sports says that this could be about a week out in terms of the settlement agreement if it is agreed upon. And another significant element of the settlement. Court would be expected to reaffirm the NCAA's remaining rules around compensation, including the prohibition on booster payments if they are not true NIL. I
agree. Worded rather broadly as usual.
Well, no, it's not even that. That is what the NIL is booster. Like
to the individual.
We're not allowing booster payments, but we'll allow the NIL. Well, that's what the
booster payments.
That's what the electives are.
I think the booster payment is what me and you call pay for play, where they're just saying give you $800,000, and that's from the booster to the player, which was going on dirty back in the day. Now it's above water. Now I just think that they want control and to see where the money's coming from. But booster just flat out paying a player, which is where we're turned into. But now it's got to go through the NIL. So all we're doing is keeping the Uniteds and the NILs and all that stuff in
siphoning off 15% of the.
I'm not a fan whatsoever.
The money. I mean, that's
not a little bit of that. it should come from the university. It should have a whole different. I mean, you're going to have all this money coming in, have some people over there controlling it, watching it, raising your own money, doing this, doing that. It's such a mess right now, Jeff. I mean, we don't know where to start.
Yeah.
Thank God we have great repertoire and stuff to talk about constantly. Because I mean, we can talk about this all the time. We do. It's unbelievable. It's just such a cluster. But I mean, you and I have said it. Do you think this is the death knell of college football?
No,
I don't think
college football is going to survive and thrive.
Oh, okay.
I don't.
You and I see
college
you and I
football
see
is not in danger.
Like people are saying,
College football, we know it is in danger, but college football is here to stay. How everything else
can you call it college eventually?
Survives is what is in question. Take a short break here. We are back with more of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show here on a Thursday afternoon.
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
Since retiring, I have spent my time searching the countryside for the hottest wings in America. I always seem to end up disappointed. You call these hot? Back off, Luigi.
Mamma mia.
Look, hands it, busboy. Your wings suck! I knew I should have stuck with Quaker Steak's triple atomic wings. You think I'm tough enough?
The Center Hall Farm Store has been serving Center County and beyond for well over a half century. A small family business, the Center Hall Farm Store specializes in animal nutrition and manufactures its feed fresh using local ingredients. Get the best in horse, cow, pig, chicken, and bird feeds. If you're not already a customer, stop in and see why so many of your neighbors are. The Center Hall Farm Store at 110 West Allison Street in Center Hall, or call us at 814-364-1393.
Sioka Toyota of Williamsport invites you to stop in today or check us out online. We have the smart path to your next Toyota, like the all-new Crown, BZ4X, the all-new Grand Highlander, Corolla Cross Hybrids, Sequoias, and more. Over 100 new Toyotas here and on the way. Don't make a $1,000 mistake. Choose Sioka Toyota of Williamsport and see the Sioka dealership's difference. Buy or reserve yours today and see for yourself why Sioka Toyota is the only stop you need for your next new car. Sioka Toyota, it just feels right.
Ready to be part of something bigger? Come pave the road to success at Glen Baker and discover a career where your hard work and determination can build a bigger, better future. Our team believes we can build a stronger future together. Join us at Glen Baker, where we value teamwork on the field and on the job. Go to GOHcareers.com to apply. GOHcareers.com. And best of luck to all the Center County sports teams all season long from everyone at Glen Baker.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.
The Goon and Ironhead.
And we welcome you back here on this, very good-looking Thursday afternoon as we head into another busy weekend. Of course, the NFL releasing the schedules yesterday, and the beloved Steelers have one of, if not the toughest schedule, depending on whom you talk to or whom you believe in terms of the analysts, but certainly one of the toughest schedules in the National Football League. The stretch run is brutal for the Steelers this season, but always exciting to get those schedules out, and it's just who we are. You start to go through and, well, I think this is going to be a win. I think this is going to be a loss, and you have no idea. There's so many different variables, and I know a lot of the discussion yesterday, even leading up to it, on various shows and various analysts is, and I know Colin Cowherd was real big on this, is yes, who you play obviously matters, but every bit as much is when you play and where you play, those types of things. So when you look at the Steelers' schedule, there are some really tough elements to it where you're having back-to-back conference games on a Sunday and then a Thursday. You're having, again, just that brutal stretch run, including a Saturday game followed by a Wednesday game, and then a game that is to be determined in terms of date and time to end the season. So we'll see. You obviously can't control it. You do what the league tells you got to do in terms of schedule, and then you go prepare as best you can and try to win it. But, man, the Steelers do seem to have a not kind break in terms of the way the schedule.
That 3-week window, like you just said, Saturday, they got the Eagles December 15th. A week later, they got the Ravens. The Saturday after that, they got the Chiefs, and then they got the Saturday and then the Wednesday night game. That's, I mean, you want me to talk about it? Yeah, it's absolutely horrendous that they're doing that. I mean,
I'm not sure how the league gets to continue to say it cares about player safety.
No, I mean, the same amount of rest as a Sunday to a Thursday, right? You know, that they're saying that's a Sunday to Thursday game. So it's a Saturday to Wednesday game. So there's the same 4 day, but the level of play on those Thursday night games because of guys being injured and guys being beat up. And so, late in that season, you just played the Eagles, you just played the Chiefs, and now you got to play the Ravens on a Wednesday afternoon on Christmas Day. And then you hide behind the whole, it's about player safety. It is not about player safety. It's about you making $1 billion on Christmas Day from Netflix, by the way. That's what the channel those games are on.
Which is another, and I get it, but add it to the long list of losing battles I'm fighting, or not even fighting. But
what makes me the most upset about that is that they say they don't want to compete with the NCAA, but the NCAA, for the first time in the history of the NCAA, is having 3 playoff games on that Saturday, December 21st.
Yep.
And guess what the NFL does? They put 2 marquee games up there with 4 playoff teams. Chiefs, Texans, Ravens, and Steelers playing that afternoon and against the NCAA playoffs. And I hope that the NCAA playoffs win out and there's more viewers for that, but I really highly doubt that will happen.
Yes, I'm with you on both counts. And
what are the Yinzers going to do, dude? Like, what if we're playing LSU in Beaver Stadium Saturday afternoon?
Go to the game and keep updated on the beloved Steelers.
Wow, you would even worry. I mean, would there be people who don't go because they're that big of Steeler fans, and they're Penn State fans also, but they're bigger Steeler fans? I mean,
sure, there'll be some,
that won't watch the Penn State game, or wouldn't.
Would at least watch. Yeah, would not maybe go to the Penn State. Probably have a couple of screens on at.
On December 21st, it's not going to be warm outside for the Penn State LSU game that I'm predicting.
Yep, it'd be a fun one to watch, fun one to have.
I'm telling you, this is what I've been waiting for 3 years when these playoffs were announced. I can't wait for them to have to come. I'm telling you what's going to happen. I said it last Thursday when I had to zoom in. And you know what's going to happen. Penn State plays Michigan. And you're like, no, I don't want that. We want a Southern or Western team to come play North and say, hey, this is how we play.
Surprising Syracuse visits Beaver Stadium for
Well, that would be about right.
Yeah.
Now, but the schedule, I mean, the Steelers, I know they have the 3rd hardest on paper, but your division has the hardest schedule to begin with.
Well, some people say that it is the hardest. There's a couple of analytics
because
out
of
there
when you're
that are
playing
like,
and who you're
the
playing.
most difficult schedule, but whatever. It's certainly one of. the toughest. And
Well,
the
what
Browns
gets
and
me-
Ravens also have extremely
what gets
difficult
me head is
schedules.
the same thing that happened to the Eagles, and that is that we don't have the Eagles or the Steelers don't really have a division battle until later in the year, and then they throw all 6 of them up there as fast as they can in like an 8-week period. I know you want to end the season against your division. I get that, so they make the last 2 out of 3 games that way, but 6 of the last 8 games are division people. I'm not a fan of that.
I'm with you
at all. The Eagles sort of have a very similar thing. They open up in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Now that's one of their home games. They lose a home game because of that.
Yep.
That ain't right. At least give them an extra home game if they got to go to Brazil to play. They open up with on a Monday night against Atlanta in week 2. Not exactly a great home opener. It's not Monday nights aren't exactly a great thing. When you have a work schedule that you have to worry about Monday and Tuesday.
Yep.
It's tough to do. It didn't do them any favors, neither team. I'm as far from a Yinzer as you get when it comes to the Steelers, but they got some pretty gruesome. It's a pretty tough road to hoe they have going on this year. And you said it right. It's not who they're playing, it's when they're playing and like the time they're playing it, the time off in between. The schedule's not that bad. Everybody's going to play Kansas City. And just, by the way, how many main big games does Kansas City have this year? Everybody you see.
Which, of course.
I literally saw Jim Nantz said he has 8 Chief games he's going to cover this year.
Not surprised.
But 8. You may as well call it he's the home announcer then. Oh, my Lord. So,
not surprised.
But let's get back to the player safety thing. And it's just the hypocrisy of the whole thing. And that is like literally what the NFL has turned into. It's about player safety. But you cannot tell me that they're taking player safety a 4-day rest in late December after 14 games so far. They're going to put 2 big teams out there for, playoff contenders.
Well, and at that time of the year, you are even the most fortuitous of teams are going to be banged up. That is the time of year where you just, again, all throughout the year, everybody is going to have injuries. It's the nature of football, but that's the time of year where you're already, in many cases, struggling on the depth front. And now, although ultimately, the players have agreed to this. This is all collectively bargained.
Of course, players are going to do that. They're immortal in their eyes.
Yeah, maybe.
In their own eyes.
I guess.
They paid them. They're going to pay them that much more money, and that's the bottom line. So they will do it. As any union rep will tell you that it's all about the money up front. If they get the money because they see themselves as immortal, not just football players, but union in general, is get as much as we can right now and maximize your time. And I wouldn't want to do it, but they're going to do it. They're going to do it. It's not just the Steelers. The Steelers go Eagles, Chiefs, Ravens in a 14 or a 12-day window.
I think even
that's insane. And it's not not just playing those 3 games in general, but playing those 3 teams. I'm sorry, but the Eagles are physical. Baltimore is very, very physical, and the Chiefs are damn good. Chiefs are 2-time world Super Bowl champs. They did no favors to you guys.
That they did not. Sorry, we're tough. We'll take it. Bring it on.
Talk to me on December 26th.
I don't think I want to talk to you that particular time.
My Christmas gift may come true.
Don't.
All the Yinzers jump ship. Penn State wins a big playoff game. The Yinzers jump ship. It's beautiful. It'll be a beautiful thing. No, but it's not right. It's just. But I'm going back to, NFL has already stolen Thursday night from college football. They've taken it from them, and that's crap.
Yeah.
So the NCAA is going to push their weight around and say, okay, we're going to take Friday night now, and they're just going to bully the high school teams, and that stinks. Fox is going to. The Big Ten is going to put out a big Friday night schedule this year. There's no doubt in my mind. They're going to have a bunch of different teams playing on Friday nights that, I'm going to sit there and watch. If Friday night should be high school. You should go out and see a local high school game.
Yep.
And that's going to get taken over by the NCAA because the NCAA got taken over on their Thursday night thing. And
instead, you'll be watching the Eagles play in Brazil.
Yeah, Friday night. My goodness. Opening game.
Yep.
In Brazil.
It'll be a fun trip, though. For fans. I don't know about players, but for fans.
Yeah, I would tell you what Fitzy told me about when the NFL put that game in Mexico City. And it wasn't like a preseason game. Like they usually just have like preseason games in Mexico City, remember? But they had the Houston Texans play a live game down there, and the NFL was like, "Oh yeah, you guys play in Mexico City." And Fitz is like, "Okay, well, what are we doing about food? What are we doing about water?" And it's like the NFL was like, it was like they were like sending them to London where the water is good and the food's all right and this and that. And you don't have to worry about that type of thing. But you go to Mexico City, you got to worry about the food. You got to worry about the water. So Fitz was like sitting there like, are you kidding me? So they had to transfer their whole cooking team down there and stuff like that, import all the water that they needed because the NFL was like, oh, just go down there and play the game and come on back. It's all good. Like it was a preseason game where you have 100 guys playing. No, you have 53 guys playing, and you can't get them sick during the week because they have a game the next week. It's just they don't think, or they don't care. I mean, that's what the bottom line is. It's about they both care about the bottom line, and that's money. There's nothing new to that. They're just trying to maximize everything they can, like the NCAA is right now. It's about money, Jeffrey, about money. But I'm sure some gambling thing will come in and say we'll give you. Well, I mean, so the Netflix deal, I believe it's $1.5 billion for the next 3 years to have Christmas Day games on Netflix.
Yep.
Did the word I see, was that a Philadelphia or was that a Pittsburgh thing? If you want to watch all of the Steeler games or all the Eagle games next year, it will cost you $850 because of all the paying services you have to have.
There you have it.
And there you go. And it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. It'll get to the point where you just got to, if you want to watch a game on Sunday, you got to pay for it. Which is just do it. Do it. Pull the Band-Aid off.
They're wanting to ease their way into it so that it's not as painful of an immediate process.
Yeah,
but painful it will be.
Yeah. I mean, I'm watching the Phillies. I gotta have Peacock. I gotta have NBC Sports out of Xfinity, and then the backup Xfinity Sports channel. That's 3 different networks, and sometimes it's on Apple.
It's a lot.
Jeez, Louise.
It's a lot going on.
About money, Jeff. So what do you think? I mean, you're a Steeler fan. I mean, it is what it is to you, or
yeah. I mean, what are we going to do about it?
Nothing you can do about it.
It's just. Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to tell you that the winning record for Mike Tomlin is going to be a 500 record? Is that what his the thing is? He's finished over 500 or over his whole career.
Yep.
That's definitely in some.
Yeah, I mean, they'll have to get off to a decent start. I do think that AFC North, much as it was last year, is just going to be for fans who don't have a dog in the fight. It's going to be a fascinating watch. And I think all 4 of those teams are capable of winning it. All 4 are capable of finishing last. Injuries is always going to play a role, certainly has played a role with the Ravens, with Joe Burrow and the Bengals. So we'll see how it all plays out. I think there's
you're playing the NFC East. You got the
Cowboys,
that's
the other
the Eagles. You got the Giants and the Redskins.
How did the Giants end up being the team that they decided to do the Hard Knocks training camp series this year?
But did you see the picture of their uniform?
Of the
Giants came out with a throwback uniform. Oh, Jeffrey, it's bad.
Yeah.
It's the Montreal Canadiens.
Yeah, that's not a great look.
That's a horrible look.
That is not a great look.
I mean, that looks like the Montreal Canadiens with football uniforms on. It's exactly what that looks like.
Yeah, that's
not pretty at all. So, I don't understand. I mean, it's the New York thing. They love the New York aspect of the whole Hard Knocks thing. So, but I don't. What did New York do that? Like at least the Jets pulled Aaron Rodgers a year ago, so that was like one of those things that they're changing their ways. I mean, if anything, the Giants have regressed. Losing Saquon Barkley and really not picked anybody really else up, right? I mean, it doesn't seem like they're like a hot, fashionable, like, oh, we got to follow these guys and see what's going on there. I really don't see that.
Yeah.
Do you?
No.
I mean, there's nothing. I don't see anything that's like really like, I can't wait to see what they do there. Oh, I want to see what they do. They're a regressing team. I don't think they're going to be any better than they were last year. And they regressed last year.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the thinking was or what all goes into it. And I'm not sure, like, do you have to, I don't know if the league imposes that on teams or if the organization volunteers. Because, the report was that the Giants were interested. And I don't know if the NFL just said, well, if they're interested, here you go. But you would think from the NFL's perspective, now, again, there's enough interest in general that no matter what team you put there, you're going to get some eyeballs to the set. But I don't think it's one of the more intriguing teams. Now, maybe it'll be a fascinating watch. I don't know. But it just, on the surface, it just is not one that I think gets the average fan excited.
Two teams that would excite me, and that would be the Atlanta Falcons.
I mean, the Jets last year made a ton of sense.
It did, no doubt about it.
In the preseason.
Yeah, but the two teams that I would be like really like interested in is the Atlanta Falcons with paying Kirk Cousins all that money, and then you bring in Michael Penix as a top 10 draft pick. I mean, what are you thinking there? I want to see the logical thinking of that. And then secondly, I would love to see Harbaugh.
Yeah.
That would be a
Steelers,
fantastic one.
Truthfully, with Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, I think
doubt about it.
Non-Steelers fan even would be.
Have they ever done the Hard Knocks in Pittsburgh?
No.
Never.
No.
I mean, maybe it is an organizational thing that they say they don't want to be part of it, but I mean, I think that sometimes it's forced on people to be personally. I mean, I can't see Jeff Fisher with the LA Rams like excited to do that. I mean, that wasn't his personality, in my opinion. But some of them are very exciting to watch. I truly enjoy having lived that life for, a half a cup of coffee back in the day. It is exciting to watch that and see how other teams do stuff. And it is nice for fans to be able to watch that stuff, to see how it is done.
To see the different personalities, see the different relationships, and all of that.
I mean, we're not going to hear the word Carcucci if it wasn't for Hard Knocks last year.
Fair enough.
I still say it, by the way.
I'm not surprised.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Every Saturday and Sunday, when I ask for a Carcucci tray from my wife, I get a Carcucci tray.
There you go.
Fantastic.
That's wonderful.
That dude made some money selling gear, by the way.
One other story that broke in the NFL, and actually today now the NFL has responded, and I think occasionally, and I've never been involved with a big corporation, but we had a smaller family business, and there were times where you'd see stuff, and it's like, man, want to respond, but let's just let this one lie. I don't know that you have to get out and respond to everything. And the fact that the NFL waited until today to do this tells you that it was just the public pressure, or at least perceived public pressure, that caused the NFL to respond.
Butker?
But this past weekend, Harrison Butker, who is the place kicker for the Kansas City Chiefs, gave a commencement speech, and some wildly praised it. Even though I agreed with much of the speech, few parts that I'm like, no, that's a little much. But regardless, personal opinion, I don't think a commencement speech is a great time to get into politics, even if you're a politician or a president. I think the more generic, go out there, do a great job or, make it a fun speech, a memorable because of how funny it is. To me, the political angle, just not a great look, no matter what your politics are at a commencement speech. Just my opinion. That being said, you as the commencement speaker get to make your speech, based, I guess, if there's any parameters given to you, which it does not appear anywhere given to Butker, or at least that he violated any parameters that were given. Now, this was at a private college in Kansas that he gave the commencement. So, he was invited. This is a private school. This is on his own time. There are folks out there who are calling for the Chiefs to release him. That they need to be done with this guy. And the amusing thing to that, to me, and again, I don't think it was the appropriate place to make some of the comments he did.
Yes.
My opinion. But when you look at some of the acts that are forgiven by sports fans, by sports teams, the fact that this guy gave a speech that, again, many may disagree with some of the things said, and we'll get into some of those elements here in a moment. But this is where you're going to draw the line for those that are calling for the Chiefs to fire him. We have, DUIs, we have domestic abuse, we have animal abuse, we have child abuse, we have all kinds
Speeding.
of really bad things that have happened involving NFL players, and they've been given second, third, fourth chances over acts, like violent acts. This is, again, a speech, and he didn't call for violence, by the way. Violence was not part of this. Now, he was very critical of the Biden administration, and also at one point encouraged the female graduates to embrace their vocation as a homemaker. Again, I think fair game to criticize, to completely disagree. The NFL has come out now. Again, mind you, this is 5 days after the speech was given.
Mm-hmm.
The speech made news pretty much immediately. Like that night, it was all over the airwaves. If this was the NFL truly, oh my gosh, look at what this guy said, we want to get out ahead of this and let people know our views, they would have done it immediately. I actually think it would be okay to just stand by, to not comment, to not. The part that always cracks me up is I don't think it's possible for anybody. One, I don't think anybody believed this. And two, I don't even think it's possible to believe it. But the NFL had to come out and say the viewpoints expressed in that speech by Harrison Butker are not the viewpoints of the National Football League. Do you think anybody anywhere thought, as this kicker for the Chiefs was giving this speech, boy, I think he is representing the entire NFL.
Like
and this is the groupthink of the entire, and of all of the organizations. I mean, with some of the stuff that the NFL has, in my opinion, remarkably and unapologetically, and I think very strangely, gotten involved in. Does anybody think that these viewpoints were representative of at least the league offices? No. I dare say there isn't a single human being out there that saw this speech and said, oh my gosh, there's the NFL for you. That's that league in its entirety. And I know that's what the NFL administration, which has supported Black Lives Matter. You go through the laundry list of things they have supported on the social cause. But they have to come out, and because, by God, we're going to take this opportunity to point out what a good woke organization we really are. Just be quiet. Nobody thought Butker was speaking for you. You didn't care enough to get out. Again, within 24 hours, maybe I can say, all right, well, the NFL, they really did want to respond. This is, all right, we've heard a couple of days of people calling for the Chiefs to fire this guy, and
30,000
people are getting really
change.com.
riled up. So, by gosh, we're going to come out and make a statement.
Well, change.org had 30,000 signatures.
A meaningless statement at the end of the day. That statement changes what? To whom? Doesn't change anything for Harrison Butker. Doesn't change anything for the National Football League. Doesn't change anything for the folks that are wanting Butker to be fired. It is virtue signaling at its worst, and I don't think it comes across as virtuous, is the thing, by the National Football League. But, and this isn't just any company, any organization, this is what they would do, and this is about the time that they would do it. And it just, I find it tiresome. It's like, just be quiet. And unless you're going to take some sort of action, and I don't think you should be taking some sort of action for what a guy says at a commencement speech. Can you criticize it? And I guess the NFL would say, well, that's all we're doing here is criticizing it. Fine. I think do it as an individual. If Roger Goodell wants to do it, I just don't know that as a league, you need to come out and say anything. But that's just me. And again, you make comments like that. It's fair game for criticism. I'm not thrilled with, again, using the commencement ceremony to make grand
but that's
political
on the school.
statements.
That's on the school. That's not on the NFL. That's on the school. They make the decision to hire that guy. He makes his speech,
well, and it's on the guy. It's on Harrison Butker.
That's his
and again,
belief.
I don't know. I suspect, although I have no idea. I've never done a commencement address.
No.
I've never been asked to do a commencement address.
No, see,
I don't know if that stuff gets. Hey, we've got a. And I'm guessing it's not uniform. I'm guessing some places it's like, especially these days, man, we need to see what it is you're going to say first and sign off on it. But again, once you hire a speaker, it's just like those roasts where, supposedly there were certain rules there for the Brady roast, and Jeff Ross said, well, those rules are so you're still taking a risk when you go out there. Well, if you believe that, and I'm not sure I believe that, but anyways.
Exactly. So, again, I think people are comparing this, and this is what I've been seeing on my social media is, well, they blacklisted Colin Kaepernick because of how he acted and how he spoke in this and that. And my opinion is that Harrison Butker did this on his time, on his dime.
Yep.
At a university. He wasn't wearing a Chiefs uniform, protesting on the field, doing what he was doing on and off the field type of thing. This was on his time.
Yep.
Was not on company time. So that is a big, big difference. The NFL can come down as hard as we want on Harrison Butker, but it's just his feeling, just his thoughts, and how he explained them to this crowd in this speech. I don't think they came out the right way. I think he was talking about getting back to a traditional family because I think that our society has lost that aspect of our society, and he was talking about that. I don't think he personally was saying all women should be in homemakers type of thing. I don't think he was thinking. I think it came off like that. And I think if you read the speech, it comes out that a little bit if you read it, but if you listen to it, I don't think that was the point of it. And again, it's just people just getting rattled up over something. And the NFL is a joke. They sit there, they have how many guys get arrested in the offseason? Oh, well, you know what? Jeff Byers' 13th DUI that's not how the NFL thinks. It's not how we like to project our players and stuff like that. We don't condone DUIs. Of course you don't. You don't need to say it.
Yes.
It's just the typical NFL, just being the NFL.
Well, and the one part about the NFL statement, and it was Jonathan Bean, who is the NFL's
let me hear this
Senior
title.
Vice President and Chief Diversity and Inclusion Officer, told My gosh, I don't. Was it? People Magazine. This is. No, is that?
Why is People
Yes.
Magazine?
I don't know. So Harrison Butker gave a speech in his personal capacity. Jonathan Bean, NFL Senior Vice President and Chief Diversity and Inclusion Officer, told the outlet his views, Butker's, rights being, are not those of the NFL as an organization. The NFL is steadfast in our commitment to inclusion, which only makes our league stronger. Now, my question is, yes, he was critical of different elements of society and different political viewpoints and all of that. And I'll have to reread the speech. Maybe I missed it. I don't think anywhere was he saying anybody should be excluded. I don't think this had anything to do with inclusion or exclusion of anybody. The league is inclusive. I think Butker is inclusive. I mean, I'm not even exactly sure what that means in this particular circumstance. What does I don't know. These statements by, and again, it's not just the NFL. This isn't an NFL thing. This is any big organization, sports, business, otherwise. I think every now and then it's like just be quiet. We don't need to hear from you on it.
Did you laugh as hard as I did when it said People Magazine?
Yeah.
Was the National Enquirer not taking quotes that day, or
perhaps not? I don't know. It just seems unnecessary to me, but not at all uncommon.
Sports is a whole different world than the the People Magazine model, in my opinion.
Well, do we really think there is an issue in the National Football League with diversity and inclusion? Like, what team is it that you think, well, yes, we would take you because, man, you throw the ball 80 yards on a dime, but my gosh, you have the wrong religious affiliation. I'm sorry, we're not going to allow you on our
Can't do it.
roster. I mean,
sorry about that.
What is the fact that we even have this? And again, I'm not opposed to having like the orientation of rookies coming into the league, or maybe even an annual statement. Hey, guys, we need you to be aware. Because listen, I was at a high school event earlier this year, and there is a player running down, and I think the player was yelling at himself. But he said, and it was yelling is overstating it, but it was audible. And it was a slur. Again, I think the slur was self-directed because he had flied out, kind of popped up and got under the ball. But so I'm not saying that there is no need in man society. We've moved on. But I think addressing it once a year, hey, we don't, please understand, we are evolving as a society. We don't need slurs. Like, think about what you're saying, like that type of stuff. I'm not opposed to that. I'm not. I think it's important. I think especially at young ages, hopefully by the time you get to the NFL, it's something that you've already had drilled into your brain that, yeah, I want to treat everybody with respect. I don't want to say something, even if it is, I'm not intending it to that individual or that group of people, that could be construed as harmful or hurtful. All for that. I really am. I don't think we need the daily, and let's all wring our hands over things that have happened in the past and like go crazy with this is the focus of our organization. Focus of your organization is football. Putting out the best football product you can in all that entails. Again, I'm fine with addressing these issues somewhere along the way. I think they're important issues. I don't think it's helpful.
Again,
just
if there's an issue with it, the Chiefs
go on and on.
They're the ones that he plays for. Did they have anything to say? That's not what the Chiefs think.
I have not seen anything, although I haven't really.
I guess the Inquirer didn't call them, so they didn't want that.
But yeah, there's people that actually want him fired from his job as an NFL kicker because he has political views that differ from theirs.
We've seen this live. We have everything builds momentum, and then all of a sudden it's like everybody's worked up into a frenzy because the media decides that they want to. Okay, we're going to gaslight this. We got to gaslight. We got to get this taken care of, and then everything rolls up, and then it's Harrison Butker's canceled because of a speech about his views. At a university who was paying him to make a speech.
Yep.
If anybody's at fault, it's the university for hiring him.
And it's a bunch of words. I mean, at the end of the day, again, there were zero actions taken here that affected or impacted anybody in any way.
Yeah. I mean, who was the guy, the Rice guy from the Chiefs, who was going 188 miles an hour, DUI, drugs, all this stuff, yada yada yada. I mean, are they speaking out against that every time one of their players gets in trouble? No. You're right. You got me all worked up, head.
Yeah, it just seems odd to me.
By the way, you know what's pretty funny to me, and we're going to keep on harping on the NFL, and that is how everybody thinks that Roger Goodell is a scumbag, and he is, he's greedy and this and that. Guess what he is? He is just the tip of the pencil of the 32 NFL owners.
Sure. No,
he represents them. Roger Goodell is not the greedy one. He is doing what he is being told by his work or his owners, whatever you want to call them. The people he worked for are the 32 NFL owners. And they are out there and saying, okay, well, I mean, you've heard me say this 100 times. NFL players and professional athletes are millionaires trying to become billionaires.
Yeah.
That's what LeBron James wants to do. His ultimate goal is to become a billionaire. Okay, he's there. All right, every player wants to be a billionaire, but every owner is a billionaire already who wants to become a trillionaire. And they got to figure out how to get to that next level. I mean, that's the difference in these crews and in this group. And people who say Roger Goodell doesn't care about the player, it's not him. That is the owners. He is nothing more than the mouthpiece of the NFL owners. So and then he gets there and he gets booed on stage and this and that. You know what, Jeff? You know how much money I would take less than he makes than his $88 million salary he makes a year to get booed 32 times when he walks on stage at the draft? That's fine. Boo me all you want. Give me my $50 million. We'll call it even.
We're good.
Thanks, Jeff.
Yep, we're good.
All right, I got to go now.
All right, we'll take a break here.
Round the Jaeger.
Let Goon go collect his money. Pass go, and we're coming right back. It is the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show. We're at Quaker Steak and Lube. Another hour coming your way, and then again, we will be heading to Mifflin County for Bellefonte versus Juniata District 6 4A championship action in high school baseball here at 4 o'clock with Todd and Norm Brown. Again, we're coming right.
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorrento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
Since retiring, I have spent my time searching the countryside for the hottest wings in America. I always seem to end up disappointed. You call these hot? Back off, Luigi.
Mamma mia.
Look hands it, busboy. Your wings suck! I knew I should have stuck with Quaker Steak's triple atomic wings. You think I'm tough enough?
The Center Hall Farm Store has been serving Center County and beyond for well over a half century. A small family business, the Center Hall Farm Store specializes in animal nutrition and manufactures its feed fresh using local ingredients. Get the best in horse, cow, pig, chicken, and bird feeds. If you're not already a customer, stop in and see why so many of your neighbors are. The Center Hall Farm Store at 110 West Allison Street in Center Hall, or call us at 814-364-1393.
Sioka Toyota of Williamsport invites you to stop in today or check us out online. We have the smart path to your next Toyota, like the all-new Crown, BZ4X, the all-new Grand Highlander, Corolla Cross Hybrids, Sequoias, and more. Over 100 new Toyotas here and on the way. Don't make a $1,000 mistake. Choose Sioka Toyota of Williamsport and see the Sioka dealership's difference. Buy or reserve yours today and see for yourself why Sioka Toyota is the only stop you need for your next new car. Sioka Toyota, it just feels right.
Ready to be part of something bigger? Come pave the road to success at Glen Baker and discover a career where your hard work and determination can build a bigger, better future. Our team believes we can build a stronger future together. Join us at Glen Baker, where we value teamwork on the field and on the job. Go to GOHcareers.com to apply. GOHcareers.com. And best of luck to all the Center County sports teams all season long from everyone at Glen Baker.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.
The Goon and Ironhead.
We welcome you back to the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show here on a Thursday afternoon. Couple of reports out. Aaron Brooks officially has been cleared to participate in the Olympic Games in Paris, so everything cleared up there, and the United States will have 2 Penn State alums and 4 Nittany Lion Wrestling Club members competing at the Summer Games in freestyle wrestling. Of course, just 6 spots available on that U.S. roster. So very impressive showing for the Nittany Lion Wrestling Club and for Penn State. A lot of discussion still about the possibility and the potential for the Beaver Stadium dual meet. Potentially, I think the ideal for many fans would be, yep, let's have David Taylor's coaching debut. I don't know what the likelihood of that is, but I do think you're going to see a Beaver Stadium duel scheduled sooner rather than later. If not this coming year, and I think it will be this coming year, this coming season, I mean.
Did we talk about my how I wanted it to end?
How you want it to end?
What's the one amazing tradition that wrestling has that I'm so envious of? And David didn't get to do it.
Oh, the leaving the
So he
comes
comes up here, wrestles at Beaver Stadium, his first ever match as a head coach versus his hero, his Svengali in Cale Sanderson. Post-match, he can walk out. I know he's no longer wrestling.
I don't know.
But that would be a pretty
usually,
cool damn thing
usually
in
do
front
it
of
when
his
you're
people.
Competing. But,
I know. But we didn't know this. And he didn't know this was going down a month ago at the Olympic trials. I love that tradition. I'm telling you, Head. I really do.
Well, we'll see what happens if there is a dual scheduled. Again, one of there are logistics that need to be figured out.
Yes.
And at the top of that list is obviously, if you're talking late October or early November, which is when we would be talking about, you have to have a contingency plan. There obviously is no guarantee that the weather will be suitable to have a wrestling match outside at that time of the year, and actually in this area any time of the year, because rain, all of the things that come into play. So you have to have. Now, can that be figured out? Of course. They did it at Iowa, they did it at Rutgers, and they got, in both of those cases, they did get the event in, but in both cases, they had the plan ready that, hey, if it is bad weather and we can't pull this off, this is what we do. And so Penn State just would have to do that ahead of time and make sure that everybody was aware of exactly what those plans would be and what they entailed.
Could you just cancel the match?
I think
ideally you
not
don't want
really.
to.
No, not really. So I think that again, Oklahoma State, from a fan's perspective, would be the dual meet to do it with. I think there are some others, and I got into a discussion with somebody. I don't think the novelty will bring some fans no matter what. And what was pointed out to me was Nebraska women's volleyball played Omaha. But they built that up as a Nebraska thing. I'm not saying you couldn't get a great crowd at Beaver Stadium for Penn State versus Pitt in wrestling, or Penn State Lehigh. And I do understand the Pennsylvania sentiment, and I think that would be fine, and I think they would draw a good crowd. I think, obviously, in Iowa and Ohio State would draw a huge crowd. I do think Oklahoma State, and especially if you could pull it off this year, and again, I don't know what all is involved in terms of making that happen from both schools' sides. You obviously would be tying up one of the competitive dates for both of those schools. If they have tentative agreements in place, you may have to work out for one of the teams on your schedule, hey, we have this opportunity. Can we push back our agreement with you by a year? And I would think 99% of the schools would say, well, yes, for that opportunity. My gosh, that's going to be a spectacular opportunity for our sport to showcase itself. Yes, we can push back a year. But I don't know how far in the process we are. I know the schedules generally are not finalized until later in the summer. I don't think anybody has, I shouldn't say anybody, I think very few, if any, schools have like everything signed, sealed, and delivered right now in terms of the non-conference schedule.
And it's good that they have the flexibility to jump around a little bit.
Well, for sure.
But it's not as rigid as football.
Yes.
The football being rigid is, okay, you're playing Saturday afternoon. We're going to pay you to play at 7:00 at night. And that's what the other thing I'm waiting on, because if we're talking about early November, it's Ohio State game, Saturday, November 2nd. Noon game, and then that's a lot of time to break down to have a Sunday afternoon match. But if it's a 7:30 at night game, which there is speculation that it might be, you're going to ask our officials to break down get out of football and put a wrestling arena in Beaver Stadium for the next day when that game's over close to 11:00 at night. That's
and I don't know what all is involved with the logistically of getting a wrestling mat on the field that can be seen, and what all's involved in terms of protecting the turf and all of that. Again, all of that stuff can be figured out. I don't think any of that is
there is a game a week later
where you can't do any of this, but you do have to make sure everybody's on the same page as far as how all of that is going to be handled.
If it's if it's Ohio State, it's November 2nd. Okay, you wrestle November 3rd. 6 days later is another home game against Washington.
Yeah.
And what's the difference of wrestling November 3rd versus November 10th? Right? And then there's some weeks off in between after the Washington game before another home game.
Yeah.
That might be a little feasible, might be a little bit better for if there is an issue with the field to get that back together. I mean, if there would be a problem with the field, which I don't see there being. I mean, you can raise that stuff off the ground 8 inches, have a platform that's 8 inches above the ground, put everything that's going on up there. I mean, the stage at Madison Square Garden not Madison Square Garden, the NCAA finals. That's an elevated stage, right? It's not just some.
Yeah, I just don't know what all's involved. I mean, that you're putting on an arena floor, not on a field, not on a
I
grass
got
turf.
you can raise it up, you can raise her up, but then do you put fans
But
on the
you're putting-
sidelines too?
But
Seats?
raising it up, what I'm saying is you're putting pressure, that much more pressure than on the field if you're raising it up.
Where's the pressure?
With the platform. Like it's not hovering over the field. There's a platform that goes down under the mat.
Yeah, so you have, say a 1 foot spikes every 10 yards or whatever. And you
Right,
raise
that's
up
what
the
I'm saying.
You
So
ordered
that's
the spikes. Okay.
Yep, that's going to be on the field.
So we just don't have
turf.
fat boys out there wrestling. We have athletic guys like myself out there, Jeff. Who
There you
won't
go.
be too heavy. And then it goes into are there fans on the field? Or are you just fans in the stands? Because that's a far way. Like I tried to teach you last week with the kegs and when I walk on the field at Beaver Stadium, I always tell people, look up top. Look how small those people are up there.
Yeah.
But if you look down, that's how small they are from when you're looking down on the field. So it is a big undertaking. And it would be absolutely amazing. Do they cut it in half like they did for the country concert? Because that's what Michigan State and Iowa did, I believe. I think they only had 40,000 people in there. And I have a 78,000 person stadium. So cut it in half, have the 2 double sections. I don't know. A lot to be done, lot to think about. But it's great to talk about because that would be a really, really cool thing. David's first ever match as a head coach versus his former team, former coach.
Yeah.
Oklahoma State people are going to travel. And that. They are some rabid fans.
Yes, for that opportunity for sure.
Yes,
to
definitely.
see David Taylor and his head coaching debut. And again, I want to be clear. I don't know that any of this is actually being discussed.
I know, right?
I'm presuming. I would think David has at least made the call to Pat Kraft, and I would think Pat Kraft is at least listening. But I don't know any of this. But if we're sitting here and boy, that would be fantastic. And can you imagine the appeal? It's hard for me to believe that Pat Kraft isn't with his visionary concepts that nope, never crossed my mind. Boy, that's something I wish we had thought of. Right? That they've at least thought about it. I don't know whether or not it's gone anywhere beyond, boy, that'd be cool. But it's hard to imagine that it wouldn't. Now, maybe they both had phone calls and we can't do it this year. Let's maybe look at something down the road. I have no idea. But I would think Pat Kraft would love it because it's a revenue producer, and I think the potential to be a pretty substantial revenue producer. It would get all kinds of national attention, not just in the wrestling community. It would dominate the wrestling community world for a few weeks, pre and post, but it would get coverage on all of the nightly news shows. Maybe not long, big features, but man, look at this. Just like Nebraska women's volleyball did last year when they sold out the football stadium there. And I just think that Oklahoma State, Penn State matchup, if you're looking to create the biggest buzz, the most likely biggest purse, that would be it. That, again, to me, even if you're, I was going to say, if you're not a wrestling fan, to be honest with you, Goon, I think there would be some non-sports fans. I'm not interested in sports, but, well, this sounds pretty cool. I might go be part of that at Beaver Stadium. So I don't know. We'll see if anything comes from it. It feels like something is going to happen in the fall. Again, I truly don't know anything, so I'm not being coy. It really does feel to me like with Carter Starachi's comments and with Pat Kraft using Beaver Stadium in all these different ways, his love of wrestling, Penn State's willingness to both the wrestling program and the athletic department now, their willingness to try new things, to be bold with their vision. It almost seems inevitable to me, and I don't want to overstate it. And then if we get to wrestling season and here's the 5 meets at Rec Hall or 6 meets at Rec Hall, and here's the Jordan Center meet, and hey, Ironhead, I thought, but I will be surprised at this point if there is not a Beaver Stadium duel. And I'll be slightly surprised, not shocked and not horribly disappointed, but I will be a little surprised, to be honest with you, Goon, if it's not Oklahoma State and David Taylor. It makes so much sense. And I think there's enough buzz about it without it even being posed publicly by anybody that has any real say in it, that to me it would be foolish not to do it. And I just find it hard to believe that those two schools and those two programs wouldn't be willing and able to get together and say, yep, let's do this. Let's make it happen.
Steelers have a bye that weekend too. So
There
you have
you
all
go.
your injuries
Yep.
coming in. The Eagles play at 8:20 that Sunday night.
There you go.
So you're not going to disrupt
It's
that.
all coming
And I've
together.
also, I said it last Tuesday, I believe, or maybe even, I don't know, the whole COVID thing's running together here, buddy. Is if we play Ohio State on Saturday and Oklahoma State wrestling on Sunday, I think some Ohio State people may stay back to watch it, just to be part of it. I mean, they're bigger fans as Penn State fans. I mean, they're wrestling fans.
Yeah. No, I think there's probably some. I don't know if there'd be a lot.
Is there such thing as like multiple teams wrestling? I know that you're dual. So what if you invite Penn State, Edinburgh, Lock Haven, Pitt, and Lehigh? Yeah, you have 5 teams out there wrestling around and stuff like that. The Pennsylvania tournament type of thing on a Sunday, but that's a lot longer, and you're really
I don't think that is likely for the because I think you want the focus to be on your school. I don't think you want to kind of share.
But I really don't think that
there.
I think that they will sell 100,000 tickets. I really do.
I do think I wouldn't rule it out. I think they could get 80,000. I really do. And my thinking is, I think you get 50,000 from the wrestling community almost assured.
Yes.
And then
you have the novelty people who are like, oh.
Yes, I think that the way you promote it and the novelty, the excitement around this program and everything it has coming back, to me, another 30,000 is very doable. How much beyond that? I mean, I don't rule out the possibility of selling the stadium out. I think that ought to be the objective. I think it is okay if you have that as an objective and you fall short. Again, the record all time, it was about 40,000 for the Iowa-Oklahoma State duel at Kinnick Stadium. I have absolutely no doubt that pretty much no matter who you put as the opponent, the Penn State would surpass that. I think any reasonable name you would throw out there, any of the Penn, Lehigh, Pitt, and pretty much any of the Big Ten schools or any of the other major teams out there, I think you're going to surpass 40,000. I feel very confident in that. I think Oklahoma State, if it was David Taylor's coaching debut, would get 80,000.
Would they bring 10,000 up from Oklahoma State?
That's a good question. They would bring some fans in, no question about that. I don't know. For David Taylor's debut, coming back here and having that opportunity to be in the football stadium, I don't know. I bet they could get 4,000 or 5,000 anyway.
And then you're going to have 5,000 David Taylor fans.
Well, you're going to have.
Yeah, there's a lot of David Taylor fans here. Not just here. I mean, he's an Ohio kid.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It's fun to talk about. We'll see if it actually happens. I'm half expecting it at this point. I really am. And I could be completely disappointed and leading everybody astray. But
How's their rule when you start?
I think it's going to happen.
Wrestling starts November 1st, right? Is that the rule, or what's going on?
I don't know when the official date is this year. Yeah, there's certain dates where you can start practice and then you can have start competitions. I don't know. I'll find out what the official start day is. I also suspect that you could, and they may turn you down, but I think for something like that, hey, we really think we need to do this mid-October, I think they could petition, and I think it'd be worth the try. I think that first or second week in November is perfectly fine. I don't think you're guaranteed any better or worse weather mid-October versus early November in these parts. I mean, it's a crapshoot pretty much from September on in this neighborhood. So to me, you're fine early November trying to figure out a day and time that would work. I'm with you. I think on a home football weekend, doing it that Sunday makes a ton of sense, and I think you would get a good number of people that would stick around just for the opportunity to be part of that experience. Couple of things. You are listening to our show on WFXS, Pleasant Gap State College. We have high school baseball coming up at 4 o'clock this afternoon. It'll be Bellefonte versus Juniata for the District 6 Quad A Championship. Todd and Norm Brown will have our coverage at Sports Radio 98.7 The Fox. Going back to our earlier conversation on the National Football League, and I actually want to follow up with one more thing on that. Sam writes in, this is exactly why I no longer watch the NFL, NBA, or TV in general, for that matter. You can't have an opinion that is different from the one being promoted. And I think this is important. Now, it is one thing if a player comes out and espouses hatred for a group. I get that there's nothing illegal about that. Free speech, government shouldn't impose anything. But like if an NFL player at a commencement speech says, man, this country's pretty good and all. I just wish we could get rid of the Jews. But, what are you going to do? Well, okay, now that's a problem, right? And you're not necessarily calling for violence, but that is, you are espousing hate at that point. The comments I've read, and I haven't read through the whole speech. I'm sure it's posted somewhere. I probably need to do that.
Butkus?
Yes.
I don't watch it.
I don't think at any point does he talk about actions that he wants society as a whole to take against any group of people. Again, my example here, not a perfect correlation, I'll grant you, but if I get up and I say, man, I think everybody should wear green. I don't know why we can't just get a society where everybody wears green. Well, you can think that's ridiculous. I would think that's ridiculous. But I'm not calling for government enforcement of wearing the color green. I'm not calling for anybody to have any kind of sanctions against wearing the color green. What I saw from the speech and what I've read in the pieces that have been written, he's like, yeah, I don't, I'm paraphrasing poorly here, but I don't like abortion. I think women should embrace being homemakers. I think at no point is he demanding anything. At no point is he saying there should be. Yeah, at no point is he saying that there should be action taken if somebody doesn't follow what his prescription is. And I really worry about a society where somebody can say something, and again, it's an opinion. I can have the opinion that, man, I think all blue-eyed people ought to be able to make chocolate chip cookies. That's just something blue-eyed people ought to be able to learn to do. Well, okay. Why not brown-eyed people? Why not? I don't know. But there is no harm there is my point. Again, he's not saying that there should be consequences if you don't subscribe to what he's suggesting. Certainly no calls for violence or anything like that. Hey, this is my opinion. I think this, I think that, I think this group, you ought to consider this. I think this administration is that. Again, do I think the setting was great to make that speech? No. I just assume that, you just talk about hard work and commitment and going out and being the best you can. That would be my take, but we all have our different approaches. I'm sure there's different venues where I've said different things and people have cringed. I try to be, I have a wide variety of opinions, of course, on a wide variety of topics. I think this is an appropriate forum to do it. I think our morning show is an appropriate forum to let those views be heard. But I do all kinds of different speaking engagements and am involved in different events. And it's like, yeah, I still have those opinions, but this group doesn't need to hear it. They're not interested in it, and I'm not going to share it. But if I did, or if anybody does, and again, you're not calling for action, you're not calling for consequences if somebody doesn't agree with you, I truly fail to see what the actual harm is and why the reaction would be, if you disagree, wouldn't be, boy, I disagree with that, and then carry on with your day.
Is the college in trouble? Are people demanding an apologies from the college because they're the ones that hired these guys?
I have not seen that. I don't.
Well, wouldn't they be the people that made
well,
the decision
I don't know.
to have the guy up there?
It depends if I don't know what they knew or didn't know in terms of what he was saying. Maybe they just thought they were. I find it hard to believe that there wasn't at least some communication.
Why are you hiring
Harrison? This is what I would like to talk about, or hey, this is what we'd like you to talk about. But I don't know. I don't know.
Private
how that
university,
stuff works.
it's their decision to think what they want to think, and they can hire whoever they want. If there's an issue, it should not go on Butker. Okay, yeah, you represent the NFL, but you represented that college that day. You were paid by that university, so the university should be catching if they're that upset about it, and they're not upset because they obviously knew something about the guy that. I mean, there's no way they let blank speech and just say, go up there and say whatever you want, Harrison.
I would think that's
damn
true.
Kickers again. We're talking about kickers again, Ironhead.
Always getting everybody else in trouble.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll take a break.
It is.
We are coming back. We will have much more of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show here on a Thursday in mere minutes.
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorrento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
Since retiring, I have spent my time searching the countryside for the hottest wings in America. I always seem to end up disappointed. You call these hot? Back off, Luigi.
Mamma mia.
Look, hands it, busboy. Your wings suck! I knew I should have stuck with Quaker Steak's triple atomic wings. You think I'm tough enough?
The Center Hall Farm Store has been serving Center County and beyond for well over a half century. A small family business, the Center Hall Farm Store specializes in animal nutrition and manufactures its feed fresh using local ingredients. Get the best in horse, cow, pig, chicken, and bird feeds. If you're not already a customer, stop in and see why so many of your neighbors are. The Center Hall Farm Store at 110 West Allison Street in Center Hall, or call us at 814-364-1393.
Sioka Toyota of Williamsport invites you to stop in today or check us out online. We have the smart path to your next Toyota, like the all-new Crown, BZ4X, the all-new Grand Highlander, Corolla Cross Hybrids, Sequoias, and more. Over 100 new Toyotas here and on the way. Don't make a $1,000 mistake. Choose Sioka Toyota of Williamsport and see the Sioka dealership's difference. Buy or reserve yours today and see for yourself why Sioka Toyota is the only stop you need for your next new car. Sioka Toyota, it just feels right.
Ready to be part of something bigger? Come pave the road to success at Glen O'Haw-Baker and discover a career where your hard work and determination can build a bigger, better future. Our team believes we can build a stronger future together. Join us at Glen O'Haw-Baker, where we value teamwork on the field and on the job. Go to GOHcareers.com to apply. GOHcareers.com. And best of luck to all the Center County sports teams all season long from everyone at Glen O'Haw-Baker.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.
The Goon and Ironhead.
We are back here on the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show here on a Thursday. Again, high school baseball coming up at 4 o'clock, maybe even a couple of minutes before. As we'll check in with Todd and Norm Brown down at Mifflin County. It'll be Juniata versus Bellefonte for the District 6 Quad A Championship today. And good luck to those Red Raiders. Boy, they are an impressive group. Bellefonte and Bald Eagle area, of course, both won PIAA state championships last season. And I'll tell you, good. I think both of those programs are primed to at least make a strong run again here this spring. They are both just rolling right now.
They had
very,
matchup
very
this year.
good seasons. Yeah,
During the Olympic trials, there was the Center County tournament, pretty much.
Yeah,
that they took care of Bellefonte in that. Bald Eagle did.
Yeah. So we'll see. see what the postseason brings, but should be a lot of fun once again for several of the Center County teams.
You mentioned the women's the State College girls lacrosse teams playing tonight too.
Yes.
So Tyler Kaluza, who is Ace Williams' grandson, is the head coach of State College High School's men's or boys lacrosse team, and he put a picture up on Facebook last night. Said these are the guys who are changing the program around. It's like, these guys have bought in from the start. You look at a football team.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
70 kids on the team.
Yep.
I mean, they have bought into it significantly up here, and it's a perfect place for it. It's the fastest growing sport in the country, and it's just growing big time here. And it starts with the university. People are watching the game, and you watch a lacrosse game. It's a very, very intricate, interesting game. And to play it, I had never played it in my life. It wasn't a thing when I was growing up, except for some other schools. And now my high school is probably one of the tops in the state every year. Great sport. And it starts at a young age. And there's just as much hitting as football. It's not as much contact. There is hitting, but there's not as much injury, I would say, because I don't think there's much padding. Did you watch the Big Ten and the NCAAs and stuff like that? Are the craziest people in this country lacrosse goalies who have sweatpants on?
It is a different mentality.
They're not wearing.
For sure.
They have a chest protector on, helmet, and a tongue protecting their throat, and they have shoulder pads. I get it, but their legs are completely bare, and the most protection that those guys wear are a pair of sweatpants at times. There might not be a crazier group of people on this earth than those guys. I don't ever pick the lacrosse ball up, but they are not soft. It's harder than a baseball. It is as hard as a hockey puck. And those things are coming at them at 100-plus miles an hour at times, and I would just shoot low every time. I would be so afraid of my legs. They give him a bigger pouch, a bigger stick, though. So there you have that going for you. There you go.
All is good.
Yep. There you go, bud. Congratulations. You're our goalie. Whoa, Lord.
Penn State baseball team will begin its regular season-ending series today against Maryland, 4 o'clock this afternoon. Now, the situation the Nittany Lions are in is that they need to win at least 2 of these final 3 games to have a shot at the Big Ten postseason and try to keep the season going after this weekend.
Oh, I didn't know that, Joe. I thought it was done. I thought they were just playing to be 500. If they win 2 out of 3, they are 500.
They'll be a game over 500 for the season. So, they need some help, but but have to take care of business by winning at least 2 of 3 would help tremendously their chances if they are able to sweep the series with Maryland. But big season-ending series getting underway this afternoon. It'll wrap up Saturday afternoon. Penn State softball team will open up NCAA tournament play tomorrow. It'll be the first NCAA tournament appearance in 13 years for the Penn State program. And certainly wish
that's tomorrow. Where's it at?
That squad the best of luck.
I'm sorry.
Oh my gosh. I'll look it up.
Okay.
Here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm watching. I was, you had mentioned that it was a long shot for them to get in the tournament. I was watching.
It's down in Texas.
Stephen Austin?
I'll look it up. No.
Okay. I remember watching some social media stuff on Sunday, and they got in. They were the second to last team to get in. And the exhilaration and the happiness that those women showed when they were selected was absolutely awesome. Absolutely awesome. That is a bunch of girls, bunch of women who've changed the Penn State way in the last few years. They came here, they've struggled, and then now they finally crossed that threshold to get to that the playoffs. And now it's all open now. It's wide open for them. Win a couple games in the playoffs, maybe go get momentum in the next year, build recruiting and stuff like that.
Yeah, they're at the Bryan College Station Regional in Texas, and Penn State will face Texas State in the first game, 4:00 tomorrow afternoon. And
is it a series or one game?
It'll be it's like a round robin tournament down there. So Penn State will have Texas State tomorrow afternoon at 4:00. I think the other games, Albany and Texas A&M will follow. And then the winners of those first 2 games will meet on Saturday at 2. The losers of those games will meet on Saturday at 4:30. And then the loser of game 3 and winner of game 4 will meet on Saturday at 7. Winner of game 3 and the winner of game 5 will meet on Sunday. And then if need be, there will be a rematch, and the 6th and final game will be on Sunday. So at least, I guess not a round robin, but at least a couple of games.
Double elimination.
For Penn State.
Pretty cool, man.
Heading to Texas. And again, that action gets underway tomorrow at 4:00. See if they can do some damage.
Yeah, man, it's great. I think it's the last of the schools, the last of the programs that are in the playoffs right now for this. Track and field over yet, or
getting to they are heading to the NCAA championships next. Those that qualified. So, yep. Fun time of the year.
I was trying to figure out Pat's schedule, and I'm like, they go to dinner with Pat and his wife one night, and I'm like, well, they have softball this week, and then I was like, well, I'm sure they're going to have track and field coming soon, but that should be coming to an end.
Yeah, into the postseason. Yeah, there's lots of things on the horizon here on the local sports front, as well as we head into the summer months. Penn State football, dear Goon.
Yeah, buddy.
The Nittany Lions, we keep talking about the 10-win mark and the 10 wins last year feeling like a disappointment. I think 10 wins this year, even though it feels like even more than last year, there are 11 very winnable games on that schedule.
Agreed.
What are... Two-part question. Okay. What do you think is the most important either unknown or concern you have about this team that has to be better than you're expecting, or maybe just show up big in order for this team to get? And again, I'm just talking about getting back to that 10-win plateau, which seems to be in the minds of many of us kind of the plateau for Penn State right now.
I think the frustration, Jeff, is it's Ohio State and Michigan every year. That's where the frustration is. I don't think it's the 10 wins that we're upset about, because people, when we were down in Florida, they were talking like, well, you guys sound like Frank Solich in Nebraska and Bo Pelini in Nebraska. They weren't happy with 10 wins. But if you're losing to your rivals year in and year out, are you really are you getting better?
Well, the thing too last year in particular is I think many of us, and I'm including me in the us, many of us felt like Penn State had at least as good of a team as Ohio State. Michigan, in retrospect,
I think
certainly
we had a better chance of beating Michigan last year, in my opinion.
Yes, because of the
looking back on it, when McCarthy gets injured, they didn't pass the ball one time in the second half, and we hang our hat on defense.
It is amazing.
And they ran the ball 38 straight times at us, or whatever it was. Like that we hang our hat on our defense. And they literally were not going to throw the ball, and we still could not stop it.
Although they hang their hat on their offensive line, and that O-line was a pretty good thing to be hanging your hat on last year.
It was a beautiful thing if they weren't wearing those colors and the team they were beating up was my team.
I hear you and I understand.
No, but if it's 10 wins this year, Jeff, it's okay. How do we do against Ohio State? Because that's what everybody's. That's the barometer. That's what we want to be. That's the leader in the clubhouse who we've been chasing. Although I think Michigan has regressed after these past 3 years with losing Harbaugh and losing that whole senior class.
Well, we keep talking about it. I think Ohio State is just a team that we are definitely keeping an eye on because, I can certainly see it all coming together. I can very easily also see that thing getting apart. I think most people, and I'm talking about non-Penn State fans, I think most people are looking at the Penn State schedule and saying Ohio State is an L. Everything else is very much in play. Like Penn State could go 11-1, probably up to 3 other games that, if things don't go Penn State's way, they could fall down to even 8-4. I think most people, again, that 10-2 number, it's like, they'll probably lose to Ohio State, and somewhere along the way, they'll either lose at USC or at Wisconsin, or somebody else will jump up and bite them, and then they'll take care of business in the rest of the games. So it's interesting because I think there's an argument to be made on different elements being the biggest concern now for this team going into next season. Certainly with the offensive tackles that you lost, I think that is a concern, even though you have experience coming back, and I think you feel good about that line, but you lost a couple of guys that are going to be playing on Sundays, including one of the best in the country, for sure, from a year ago. And whether or not you have that type of production, to me, the offensive line, where I'm at, is I think the offensive line, my expectation is much like the defense. I don't think it's going to be as good as last year because I think that's almost impossible. It would be like Michigan football say, no, we expect to be absolutely as good as we were a year ago. I just, that defense, it almost has nowhere to go but down. I don't think it's going to be a crazy fall. I don't think they're going to be an awful defense. I think they're going to be really good. I don't think they're going to be one of the best in the country, at least not initially. I think they have a chance to play themselves into that. I think this offensive line, again, you lost a terrific center, 2 NFL tackles. You lost a lot of talent on the line.
Treated.
Now, they also got a lot of guys significant playing time last year. I think they have a lot of leadership coming back, a guy like Nick Dawkins at center. And I think you have a nice group of young players really pushing here for playing time. You have Nolan Rucci. Like, the depth, I think, is better than it was a year ago even on the O-line. I don't know that starting 5 is as good, or at least initially will be as good. But I don't think it's going to be, again, a crazy drop-off. I think that might not be quite as good, at least initially, as it was last year. But I think they're going to be good. I think that O-line is going to be good, and I think it has a chance to play itself into being really good.
I'm with you. We've talked about offensive line depth for 5 years.
Yep.
Now.
And I think it's
we
there.
finally have it where we're not sitting there saying we got to start 4 freshmen next year because the last 4 guys who played the last 4 years and got their butts whipped for 2 and were good for 2. I think we're past that. I think we're plugging in Nick Dawkins, who's been here for 3 or 4 years, and he's already a college graduate. Now he's walking into a starting position. You got young Shelton. You got Rucci coming in. You know, you have the places and the depth to plug guys in.
And you have some versatility now on that line, too, where there's guys like J.B. Nelson that have played some different spots. Dawkins could play some different spots. So I like
Big
the
center,
line.
man.
I think, I think that the line is, well, again, it might not be as good as last year. I think it's going to be close, just like the defense. It's not a concern area for me going into the season. I think it is for a lot of people. And I'm not saying I'm right and they're wrong. We'll see how it plays out. I think that group has figured some things out. I think the up and down from one season to the next, some years are going to be a little better. But I think it's always for the foreseeable future, not always. Always these days in college sports is like for the next 2 years. But I think they're in good shape. I think they're going to be fine at the very least there for at least the next few years. To me, what next season comes down to in terms of can you surpass that 10-win mark and take that next step, or if you do get 10 wins, advance in the college football playoffs and at least be one of the final 8 teams standing. To me, it comes down to what happens with this receiving core. Does it become a group that truly goes out and makes some plays for you and consistently makes the routine plays? And then does Drew Aller in the big games show up big? And I'm not pinning anything on Drew Aller from last year, but he did not show up big in the Ohio State or Michigan games.
Yeah. He's the first one to tell you that, too.
Yes, and again, I'm not saying he is the reason they lost those games, but I think that the body language, especially if things don't go well early, he has to be the leader this year, and it can't be where you have the deer in the headlights look, or you're head down as you go off the field. You throw a pick 7 on that first drive against Ohio State, you need to be coming off and guys, we're fine. It's all right. I don't care if you believe it. I don't care if in your head you're panicking. You need to be selling your team. Guys, we're fine. We're all right. No big deal. We've got this. This is a small bump in the road. But you have got to project that confidence no matter what. And that, to me, is what I think has to be the biggest step for Drew Aller in terms of his development this coming season, is that confidence that he had in so many of the games last year, it has to be there no matter what. When you go to USC, when you go to Madison, when you take on Ohio State, and whatever other games you want to throw in there, when you go to Morgantown for sure. But that, to me, production and consistency from the receiving core and Drew Aller. There's other things. Obviously, health always plays into it, how the coaches handle stuff, new coordinator, bunch of different factors. But to me, Drew Aller in the big games and the receiving core throughout the year being consistent and creating some big play opportunities. If Aller projects confidence and shows up big in the big games, not saying he has to win every game and it has to be the reason they win every game. He's got to show up big. Has to have good games and rally the troop troops behind him. If that happens and this receiving core does take that next step, I think Penn State could very likely be 11-1 anyway in the upcoming season.
Yeah. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. It's not exactly easy walking to a conference, and like the Big Ten, like USC, UCLA, Oregon, and Washington, it is a weekly fight you're involved with when you play in the Big Ten.
No question.
I mean, you're not. They don't play exactly a very great and sound defense in the Pac-12. So they're going to come here and they're going to get. I mean, the Big Ten is going to sit there and say, "Okay, we have to be physical with these guys." Now they may come and light up the Big Ten defensively with some dynamic offense, but they better be able to stop some people. Otherwise, they're not going to make the whole season because they will just get the ball rammed down their throat 12 straight weeks and just be pummeled by the end of the year. I hope that they know what they're getting into, and that's the only thing I can think of where the 11.5, that 10.5 number came from the other day. When you said one of the sports books had it at 10.5, so that's one loss, and then there's no room for one that got away from us,
right?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that might be that that sports book is predicting that the Pac-12 teams that are coming in, Washington's nowhere going to be close to what they were last year.
I don't think
Oregon's
so.
going to be pretty good. USC is not going to be as good as they were last year.
Yeah.
And UCLA is not that good to begin with. But it depends on how we're doing. And you have you heard, I mean, they're very tight-lipped over in the Lash building, and, you don't hear much going on in this and that. I think there's a quiet confidence coming out of that. They're just like, let's just get the football season going here. I sense that from the players.
It's interesting because I also think, Goon, and you correct me if you think I'm wrong in what you're hearing from the folks you talk to. Last year, the expectations were sky high, and we were part of it.
Sure.
I mean, I was absolutely convinced that 12-0 was on the table and that 11-1 was what that team was almost destined for.
I agree.
And really thought they would win at least one of those two games with Ohio State and Michigan. This year, I mean, Michigan's off the schedule. And Oregon is not on the schedule. So you have a season in which almost unbelievably, it feels like the Big Ten. Now, Michigan is not Michigan from a year ago, but I think it's still going to be a very good football team. Oregon, most national experts are saying if anybody in the Big Ten is going to beat Ohio State, it's Oregon. Obviously, Penn State is hoping that isn't the case, that there's another team in the Big Ten.
Me and you are hoping the same thing personally.
But I think even locally, even with that, with Michigan being off the schedule and Oregon, the consensus certainly is Oregon is the best of the four teams for this upcoming season. Correct. It's the best of the four teams coming in. With what they have returning, they are best positioned to compete. Doesn't mean USC couldn't surprise. I think a lot of folks kind of think they will surprise. I don't think many people are expecting Washington or UCLA this year to be among the contenders for a Big Ten title. So Penn State has to go to USC. Obviously, that's a big game. We talked about Wisconsin, UCLA potentially, Washington, not a gimme. You're at West Virginia, you have Maryland, which I think is continuing to get better. And obviously, they want desperately to knock off Penn State again. But I guess my point is, I don't know, going into the season, even though I think there's a even surer path than there was a year ago to 11-1, I don't think as many people are expecting it, and I don't think there's going to be nearly the disappointment. And maybe it's just as simple as, well, Michigan's off the schedule, so one of the two losses, if there are two losses, won't be to Michigan. We can live with that. It may be as simple as that, but I don't get the feeling that 10-2 is going to be viewed with the same disappointment that it was a year ago. Now, part of it is also clearly the fact that they would be in the playoffs almost
That's
guaranteed.
the thing. We would have been in the playoffs 6 of the last 8 years.
And how much would that change the perception?
Absolutely. 1,000,000%. Having the opportunity, I mean, now if we lose 6 straight games,
well,
that's there's the
part
perception right there. But you get in there, make a run, go 1 or 2 games, and hey,
yeah.
You want to tell what people are frustrated? Go back to the Peach Bowl.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that was a lackluster effort on everybody's part. It's like they didn't want them to be there, and that was disappointing. Was because that's the way the SEC teams usually are when we play them in playoff and bowl games.
Yeah,
that's how I played Tennessee. I played Auburn, Tennessee another time. So, and that's the way they were. They didn't want to be there. It just felt like, and once they started getting a little physical, they backed off, and they were like, "Well, we definitely don't want to be here now." And that's what it looked like to us last year. Like our guys didn't want to be there, and it was just like that was the frustrating part. Horribly frustrating to end the season like that, and you never want to end your season on a loss, especially on a bad loss as they had last year.
Yeah,
now I'm all mad, Jeff. Now I'm all flustered.
There we go.
Let's go watch some baseball, buddy. Let's get some baseball going.
Yes, indeed. Looking forward to the weekend. Should be a fun weekend.
Imagine that, Jeff. 18 weekends this year so far that it's rained. Just so you know.
The PGA Championship is underway. Mr. Shoffley had himself a first round.
62, tied the lowest ever in a major.
9 under,
and he's done it twice in his career.
Pretty impressive. Yeah. Rory McIntyre is right now at the moment 4 shots back, and
they're lighting this course up.
He finished up, right?
McIlroy, he's at.
So McIlroy is again 4 shots off.
He's at 66.
Yep, has finished.
He now is at 2 -6, so he's already done 2.
Along with the golf.
It's Valhalla is a great. Well, one, it's a great name.
No question about that.
So,
yeah, it'll be fun. I'll probably at least try to watch some of that on Sunday, if nothing else. And
and it's crazy because I didn't know this, but one of the 4 guys who shot a 62 was my gosh, I forget his name already. Ricky Fowler. Did the U.S. Open a couple years ago. He shot a 62. I'm like, how do you? He didn't win the tournament? Holy crap, man! That's a long tournament. You can't win it the first day, but you sure as heck can lose it.
That is for sure. All right, that's going to wrap things up for us today. Folks, have a great weekend. Stay tuned. We have high school baseball coming up. It's the District 6 Quad A championship game between Bellefonte and Juniata. Todd and Norm Brown are standing by with the call of that game. And we will talk to you on Tuesday. Until then, be good and be safe.
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorrento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
Since retiring, I have spent my time searching the countryside for the hottest wings in America. I always seem to end up disappointed. You call these hot? Back off, Luigi.
Mamma mia.
Look, handsy busboy. Your wings suck. I knew I should have stuck with Quaker Steak's triple atomic wings. You think I'm tough enough?
The Center Hall Farm Store has been serving Center County and beyond for well over a half-century. A small family business, the Center Hall Farm Store specializes in animal nutrition and manufactures its feed fresh using local ingredients. Get the best in horse, cow, pig, chicken, and bird feeds. If you're not already a customer, stop in and see why so many of your neighbors are. The Center Hall Farm Store at 110 West Allison Street in Center Hall, or call us at 814-364-1393.
Sioka Toyota of Williamsport invites you to stop in today or check us out online. We have the smart path to your next Toyota, like the all-new Crown, BZ4X, the all-new Grand Highlander, Corolla Cross Hybrids, Sequoias, and more. Over 100 new Toyotas here and on the way. Don't make a $1,000 mistake. Choose Sioka Toyota of Williamsport and see the Sioka dealership's difference. Buy or reserve yours today and see for yourself why Sioka Toyota is the only stop you need for your next new car. Sioka Toyota, it just feels right.
Ready to be part of something bigger? Come pave the road to success at Glen Baker and discover a career where your hard work and determination can build a bigger, better future. Our team believes we can build a stronger future together. Join us at Glen Baker, where we value teamwork on the field and on the job. Go to GOHcareers.com to apply. GOHcareers.com. And best of luck to all the Center County sports teams all season long from everyone at Glen Baker.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.
The Goon and Ironhead.